Hello everyone, I am Becca, the conservative Filipina. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here. Today I'd like to talk about the recent protest against corruption in the Philippines. If you are interested in this topic, please keep on watching. So, on September 21st, thousands of Filipinos went to the streets to protest against corruption. Filipinos are enraged after the revelation of the widespread corruption in the flood control projects in the Philippines. Now, Marcos first highlighted the flood control corruption scandal in July in his annual State of the Nation speech. He later established an independent commission to investigate what he said were anomalies in many of the 9,855 flood control projects worth more than 545 billion pesos, around $9.5 billion, that were supposed to have been undertaken since he took office in mid-2022. He called the scale of corruption horrible and accepted his Public Works Secretary's resignation. So this public outrage erupted. It really started when this wealthy couple named Sara and Pacifico Discaya went on an interview with Julius Babaw, a popular journalist / what is he now? I think he's an independent content creator, vlogger. So during this interview, the answers to his questions, this couple's answers were very questionable. And then they started showing their very luxurious lifestyle. Filipinos raised their brows, and a lot of Filipinos were angry because of this couple's revelations. So let's get to know this couple a little bit. So the couple, once virtually unknown, emerged in the spotlight after Sara Discaya, this is the woman, ran against popular Pasig City Mayor Vico Soto in the May midterm elections, only to lose by a landslide. During the interview, it was revealed that the couple ran several construction companies that won lucrative flood control project contracts. In one segment of the interview, Julius Babaw asked the couple, this is going to be in Tagalog, I'm going to translate it in English. He asked the couple, "Kailan kayo nag-umpisa yumaman?" So basically translates to, when did you start getting rich? Sara, the woman, answered, "Simula noon pumasok kami sa DPWH, which is the Department of Public Works and Highways." So basically she answered, well, we started getting rich when we entered the Department of Public Works and Highways, when they started working with the DPWH. Filipinos were like really shocked about this, but you know what? In fairness to her, she was very honest with her answers. Then the couple showed dozens of European and American luxury cars they owned during this interview. Now, this garage, the family garage, did not look like a garage. It looks like a car dealership. Luxury car dealership. The fleet included a British luxury car costing 42 million pesos that they bought because, and this is what really a lot of Filipinos get mad about, this couple said, well, we bought this car costing 42 million pesos, around 737,000 US dollars, because it came with a free umbrella. So many memes were created about this. It's actually hilarious. I mean, hilarious, but made a lot of Filipinos angry because this couple was really boasting their, the money that supposedly they got from, working with the Department of Public Works and Highways. Now, to be fair, it makes sense that if you work with the government, specifically the Department of Public Works and Highways, you would definitely make a lot of money. These are big contracts we're talking about. But, what they showed to the public, that little bit of the luxurious life they showed the public that the math is not quite mathing. Is that the word? A lot of Filipinos started computing and realized there's no way. I mean, how much money could they possibly have made from these projects? I mean, obviously, these are big contracts, but it's just not quite mathing. And Filipinos started asking questions, and with this, the Pandora box is opened. It was opened, and after the interview, Filipinos started connecting the dots, and there's plenty of information, clues available online. And so Filipinos started digging. Filipinos started looking into the lifestyle of the so-called Nepo, is that what you call it? Nepo babies and princesses of the Philippines. Now, there's a lot of them out there, and a lot of them are influencers. They are on social media showing their very luxurious lifestyle. From the high-end, super expensive vacations, vacation homes abroad. Some of them also has content that they share online. They actually are influencers showing how many designer bags they have, closets full of nice, expensive things. All of this they showed online. Now, every single luxury that majority of the country can only dream of, Filipinos watches, and a lot of Filipinos follow this. Most of them are women. Well, actually, majority of them are women. And because of that, Filipinos started realizing, wow, a lot of these people are connected to those who work with the Department of Public Works and Highways. A lot of them are the daughters, the nieces, the nephews, related to someone who works with the government. And now that the Pandora box is wide open for the public to see, the Philippine government decided to start an investigation. All right, so the Philippine Congress called in the Discaya couple, and oh boy, they started mentioning names. They started naming names, and a lot of these names are politicians. Surprise! It's like a circus. Like, Filipinos are enraged by this. Who wouldn't? For me, it's like annoying, aggravating, but at the same time, it's like hilarious because it is like a circus. So this couple started naming names, and so many politicians are involved, allegedly conspiring with the contractors to pocket millions and billions of pesos while working on these flood control projects. Of course, Filipinos are enraged with this information. Filipinos have had enough, and they took this anger and frustration to the streets. On September 21st, they had this big rally. So the city of Manila estimated that there were about 50,000 Filipinos who took part in this demonstration. This was dubbed the Trillion Peso March after the estimated 1.9 trillion Philippine pesos spent on flood defenses in the country, more than half of which has allegedly been lost to corruption. Now, there was an expert who talked about this. I think he had his interview with Karen Davila, and he mentioned that there are politicians in coordination with their contractors who were pocketing about 1 million, if that was the right number, 1 million peso a day. That's a lot of money. So half of the money that, they allocate for this flood control defenses projects in the country, more than half of that money has allegedly been lost to corruption. So it's been going to someone else's pockets. And there's no wonder why the infrastructure in the Philippines, specifically the roads, the highways, the buildings, they're so substandard, probably even lower than substandard. And, they pass and they don't last very long. A lot of Filipinos are actually exposing this now. Again, with the use of, internet, the information travels much faster. So Filipinos see what's really going on. A lot of this, you will see some of these roads and highways and bridges falling apart. And it's amazing how amazing is probably not the right word, but it's ridiculous how they build these infrastructures because they're so substandard. And you know what? That's not even as bad as those projects who are apparently ghost projects. They don't really even exist. None of these projects even get started. Of course, they're not going to get finished. There were funding for that ended up in someone else's pocket. So yes, that's a sad reality. So let's talk about corruption in the Philippines. The Philippines is perceived to be one of the most corrupt countries in the world. Of 180 countries, the Philippines rank 116 in terms of being least corrupt. So it's a very corrupt country. This means that the country is almost in the top 1/3 of the most corrupt countries, based on the Corruption Perception Index, CPI, published by Transparency International. Corruption manifests in various forms in the Philippines. But in my opinion, the most notable forms of corruption in the country is the oligarch and clan corruption. It manifests itself in the political system. Now, in a study in a 2007 study by Michael Johnston, a political scientist and professor at Colgate University in the United States. Johnston noted, in this kind of corruption, there is difficulty in determining what is public and what is private. For example, who is a politician, and who is an entrepreneur. Oligarchs attempt to use their power for their private benefits for the benefit of their families. And this is what's happening in the Philippines. I don't know if Filipinos pay attention, but it has been like this for ever since I can remember. From the Aquinos, Binays, these are big families in the Philippines. Dutertes, yes, Rojases, and most notoriously, the Marcoses. Like what I'm saying, this is like a circus. The Philippines is no stranger to political families, and these political families, dynasties, they thrive in the Philippines. If you look at the majority of the Filipino politicians, presidents, for example, most of them are related to another politician either by blood, by affinity, or have some type of connection to the political family. There are those who marry into the political family to get into politics. So a lot of these people within the family also start a business, and this is when things get murky because, for example, you have, a relative who is a governor of this province, and then you start a business, fixing the road, DPWH, and you're connected to that governor or even a mayor. I mean, if they do bids in these contracts, you're most likely going to get these contracts. And plus, with the culture as well, with people being so used to nepotism in the country, yes, everything gets so murky. And the same families who are in office, who also have relatives who are in these businesses working with the government, they all get rich. So there's two ways to get rich in the Philippines. Maybe that should have been the title of my video. If you want to get rich in the Philippines, get into politics or marry into a political family. Or also become a celebrity. 3 ways to become rich in the Philippines. Get into politics, marry into someone who is in politics, and become a celebrity. That's how you get rich in the Philippines. All right, so we're going to move on to the next part of this conversation. So here is the important question. Can corruption be eradicated in the Philippines? I think majority of the population knows the answer to this question, but talking about the protest that just happened on September 21st. This protest and demonstrations against corruption reflects the public's desire for change and accountability. It's good that there is still that desire for change and accountability. And I hope that this strong desire for change continues. But it's important to encourage others to protest peacefully. Engage Filipinos in open conversations. Educate others on how to evaluate and choose good leaders. I think it's very important because a lot of Filipinos are very good at complaining, but they also don't mind selling their votes. I think if you sell your votes, you give up your rights to complain, okay? Let's educate people. That's how it is. If you sell your votes, then you shouldn't be complaining because you sold your rights to complain. Also, politicians need to be held accountable for their actions. There is this public outcry against the contractors, and that's understandable. When they did this hearing in Congress, they invited the Discaya. And the focus right now is on the contractors. Everybody be so mad on the contractors. But then they're not realizing that, a lot of these contractors wouldn't be able to do that corruption if they were not in cohorts with the politicians. The politicians initiated it. Come on, people. Let's think, okay? There's this public outcry against the contractors, and that's understandable, but let's not forget that this flood control corruption was initiated by the politicians. Most Filipinos are asking this question. May makukulong bang politiko dahil sa ghost projects? So, let's translate this. Is any of the politicians going to jail because of these ghost projects? And I think majority of Filipinos already know the answer to the question. I saw some of this questioning in the Congress, the session, and it's kind of, again, it is a circus. It's aggravating to watch, but at the same time, it's hilarious because some of these Congress people, the senators, they're so mad, so much anger. Like, they're so angry at these contractors. But then, hello, your family is known to also have been involved in corruption. I think we know who I'm talking about. Many Philippine presidents promised to end corruptions. Not just presidents, every single politician in the Philippines, they promised to end corruption in their political campaigning. But none has achieved it so far. None of them, okay? There's one that I see potential, and I'm gonna mention him in this video because I think it's worth mentioning. Many Filipinos talk about wanting to change, but vote for the same leaders anyways. It's the same people. It's just the relative of someone who's already been there for so long. A lot of times, the change in the throne happens when this person can't really run anymore because they've used up all of the the terms. So they pass it to their wife, to their son, to their nephew. I mean, it's the same family. And when it comes to leadership, there's also not a lot of options, really. This is also reality. It's the same people running the country because there's no other ones who can actually lead. That's the reality. It's sad, but we need good leaders who are young and bold and not afraid to make a change. And unfortunately, to be very honest, I don't really see a lot, I don't see a lot of good leaders. Other than, I would like to mention him because I think it's worth mentioning, Vico Soto. I think Vico Soto he is the current mayor of Pasig City. I think he's very promising, but he's still young. I mean, he was asked if he wants to run in Congress or in Senate or maybe even become a president one day. He said he don't have any plans yet as of, he doesn't have any current plans about that. He's focusing on his leadership in Pasig City. But I think he's a very promising politician. But this is the thing. He also comes from I would consider not really like a political family, but is a very, very popular, well-known family, and his uncle is also the Senate president of the Philippines, so they're all connected to something. But when it comes to his type of leadership, I think I can see hope there. Now, the Philippines is currently facing a significant crossroads regarding corruption, which has been a long-standing issue in the country's governance. The current situation reflects the ongoing struggle between the need for accountability and the desire for radical change in the country's governance. So I remain to be hopeful for the country despite everything that's going on there. And I know that a lot of Filipinos are losing hope, losing patience, are angry, discouraged. I saw this post on Facebook that got a lot of comments and reactions, and some Filipinos out there are saying that how they wish that the Philippines did not become a Commonwealth. Instead, the Philippines should have stayed as a territory of the US. Like, that's how frustrated Filipinos are. But I think it's important to not give up. It's good that Filipinos are now realizing that they probably should be smart when it comes to their, when it comes to casting their votes. But I think it's a good start. Now, eradicating the corruption in the Philippines is going to be very hard. It's ingrained in the culture. It's like, even the culture, that's another conversation we can talk about. But I mean, right now, what most people can do is to remain hopeful, to do something about it within themselves. You got to start somewhere. And when it comes to the protesting and demonstrations, I mean, freedom of speech, your freedom of assembly, it's good to be able to do that. But at the same time, there are those people who also use that as a tool to, spread, chaos. And you know what? There are also some theories out there. I was watching someone, I can't remember his channel, very good commentator, political commentator. I think his name was, I'm going to try to put a picture of his channel. I've seen a couple of his, comments on this, and I thought it's very good. And he mentioned that a lot of this expose is happening because of the feud between the two biggest political families in the Philippines, which is the Dutertes and the Marcoses. Because let's not forget who kind of started this expose is Marcus. But again, this is a circus because same people who are complaining about this are also, in my opinion, okay, in my opinion, are also in the circus. All right, I'll end this video here. If you have any comments you'd like to share, please share on my comment section below. Thank you for watching. Bye, everyone.